All right, settle in, because this one's not a quick sip of tea. This is a full, slow burn, lights dimmed, phone face down kind of story. And yeah, if you're into royal drama, Hollywood money, power shifts, and the quiet way institutions close ranks, you're in exactly the right place. Before we get deep into it, you already know the drill. If you like thoughtful breakdowns that connect dots instead of just screaming headlines, hit like, subscribe if you haven't, and drop a comment early so YouTube knows you're here for the long haul. All right, let's go. $14 million. That's the number sitting like a neon warning sign over the gates of Montecito. 14 million. And somehow, at the center of it, you've got Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and Tyler Perry, a trio nobody had on their 2026 bingo card for a financial reckoning, but here we are. What started as a quiet act of generosity from one of Hollywood's most powerful figures has now turned into something far messier, something colder, something legal. Because behind the sunlit gardens, the carefully framed Instagram angles, and the "we're thriving" messaging, there's a debt that won't go away. And according to multiple insiders, Tyler Perry is done pretending it doesn't exist. This wasn't supposed to end like this. Back in 2020, when Harry and Meghan cut ties with royal duties and landed in California, they weren't just famous, they were exposed. No palace security, no institutional safety net, and a media storm that didn't let up for a second. Enter Tyler Perry. He opened his Beverly Hills home, he provided security, he offered protection when very few people could or would. At the time, he was hailed as the fairy godfather of their reinvention, the man who helped them land softly while the world watched them fall. But here's the part that rarely gets said out loud. Shelter doesn't come free forever, and bridges are meant to be crossed, not lived on. As Harry and Meghan began shopping for their now infamous Montecito estate, the numbers didn't quite line up. $14 million is not pocket change, even with Spotify and Netflix deals in flux. And according to people familiar with the arrangement, Tyler Perry's private finance office stepped in quietly. No press, no paperwork splashed across headlines, just an informal bridge loan, a handshake, trust. And that's where everything starts to unravel. Fast forward a few years, the calls slow down, messages go unanswered, meetings get postponed. Tyler Perry, a man known for loyalty but not for being taken lightly, starts paying attention. His finance team starts reconstructing timelines, emails, texts, promises made casually that now carry real weight. By early 2025, lawyers are involved. Not aggressively, not publicly, just carefully. Then comes the moment that changes everything. Summer 2025. Meghan's team allegedly attempts to refinance the Montecito property through an anonymous lender without disclosing Perry's claim. That's not just awkward, that's a red flag the size of California. From there, the tone shifts. Settle this quietly, or we escalate. And according to multiple sources, Harry and Meghan do neither. Now pause here for a second, because this is where people get it wrong. This isn't about Tyler Perry needing money. This is about trust. And when trust breaks at this level, the fallout isn't emotional, it's procedural. By December 2025, Perry's silence stops being silence. It becomes preparation. There's a moment that insiders keep pointing to. December 17th, a low-key cafe in Westwood. Harry and Meghan are spotted in a tense argument. Grainy photos, but unmistakable body language. Meghan leaning in, whispering sharply. Harry slumped, hand over his face. What nobody knew at the time, 3 tables away sat a legal assistant from Perry's firm. That morning, there had been one last attempt at a quiet resolution, repayment plan, reduced terms, something to close the chapter without blowing it open. Instead, things soured. Allegedly, Harry tried to negotiate down. Meghan hinted at public fallout, and just like that, the door closed. From that point on, this stopped being a private disagreement and started becoming a legal timeline. And here's where it gets really uncomfortable for the Sussexes, because if Tyler Perry files suit, and signs point to that happening soon, it won't just be about money, it'll be about discovery, financial records, emails, communications with lenders, the internal workings of Archewell, the gap between public messaging and private reality. Discovery is where stories go to die. And while all of this is unfolding in California, something else happens, quietly, precisely, across the Atlantic. January 13th, 2026. St. James Palace released a carefully worded statement through the Privy Council office. No drama, no emotion, just legal clarity. The Crown did not acquire, nor did it provide funding for the Montecito residence. Read that again, slowly. This wasn't just a denial, it was a line in stone. For the first time since Harry and Meghan stepped back in 2020, the monarchy formally distanced itself from their finances. No bailouts, no quiet help, no responsibility for debts, including anything tied to Tyler Perry. And if you think that statement just appeared out of nowhere, think again. Back in November 2025, Harry reportedly sent a private letter to King Charles. Insiders describe it as emotional, carefully worded, and heavy with implication. Security concerns, family loyalty, references to Diana's inheritance, a not-so-subtle suggestion that help was expected. Charles didn't respond personally. He forwarded it to the Privy Council, and in a private note to his secretary, now circulating among senior courtiers, he allegedly said, "If he wishes to rename his children, that is his cross to bear, but I will not barter them for royal privilege." That line hit like ice water inside palace walls. By early January, the royal household activates what insiders call legacy lockdown. It's not a tantrum, it's not revenge, it's institutional self-defense. The rules are blunt. No financial aid, no repayment of private debts, no legal settlements, no trust distributions, no title restoration, no succession recognition, no private negotiations, no side deals, no intermediaries. Everything goes through official channels, or it doesn't happen at all. Prince William doesn't sugarcoat it either. During a New Year's address and later a closed-door briefing, he makes it clear, there is no trust left. We do not reward coercion. That word matters, coercion, because from the palace's perspective, this isn't about family drama anymore. It's about boundaries. And once boundaries become legal, sentiment doesn't get a vote. Princess Catherine, often underestimated, is reportedly one of the strongest voices behind the strategy. Her private advice to William is devastatingly simple. You can mourn a sibling, but you must never mourn the monarchy for them. Translation: feel whatever you feel, but don't let emotion dismantle the institution. Princess Anne takes it even further. She pushes directives banning any Sussex-linked organizations from royal partnerships. Archewell disappears from internal documents. Invitations are quietly withdrawn. Honors declined. Prince Edward follows suit. When a veterans initiative lists Archewell as a partner, he declines participation immediately. No speeches, no drama, just no. And silence becomes policy. And back in California, that silence is loud. Because once Tyler Perry signals legal escalation, other creditors start paying attention. Luxury vendors, security contractors, private financiers, everyone waiting to see who moves first. A quiet lien appears on the Montecito property in early January. Analysts familiar with Santa Barbara County records notice it immediately. That $14 million symbol of freedom, it's suddenly fragile. And here's the cruel irony. It's not the press doing this, it's math. If Perry proceeds, foreclosure or forced sale becomes a real possibility, not tomorrow, but soon enough to keep people awake at night. Meanwhile, the Sussex brand starts cracking in places it didn't expect. Donors pull back. Archewell faces scrutiny, and old questions resurface about transparency, about inheritance, about bloodlines. Diana's trust clauses, long sealed, suddenly matter again. Alleged provisions on lineage verification trigger freezes. Legal reviews expand. Nothing moves without documentation. Public sentiment shifts too. Even in the U.S., where sympathy once ran high, the tone cools. People aren't angry. They're tired. Tired of contradictions. Tired of half answers. Tired of watching privilege pretend to be persecution. And that's where we are now. Tyler Perry, once protector, now potential plaintiff. The monarchy, once silent supporter, now institutionally absent. A mansion under financial pressure, a marriage under visible strain, and a legacy caught in legal review. What began as a quest for freedom looks a lot like isolation. And here's the thing that sticks with me. This didn't collapse with a bang. It collapsed with doors quietly closing, calls not returned, statements carefully written, lines drawn without shouting. If you've made it this far, drop a comment. I'm genuinely curious what you think happens next. Lawsuit or settlement?